Hey everybody, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com, and today we're going to take a look at a new plugin released by Soundtoys, SuperPlate. And when Soundtoys releases a new plugin, it's kind of a big deal because they don't release new plugins all that often. Now, a few years back, they released Little Plate, which was based upon a single style plate reverb. SuperPlate takes that same idea and expands it to include 5 different modeled reverbs, some more parameters you can tweak and play around with, and a bunch of cool things to make a really versatile and flexible plate reverb plugin. Also, when you buy the license for SuperPlate, it does include Little Plate as well with it. Let's jump over to the Soundtoys website and take a look at some of the features and specifics here. First of all, the full retail price of this plugin is $149. It's got a special intro price of $79, but if you're a full Soundtoys 5 bundle member and you just want to upgrade the bundle to version 5.4, that only costs $29 and gets SuperPlate included. So let's scroll down and see what we're actually modeling here. The first modeled reverb is one of the first mechanical reverbs ever, and that's the classic EMT 140 from the 1950s, studio standard, very classic plate reverb sound. That's one of the models we have. The second one's not really a plate reverb at all. The gold foil 240 is actually an EMT 240 model, and that used a thin foil of 24 karat gold to reverberate and create its distinct tone. The next model we have is the Auticon, based upon Audicon's The Plate, also known as the Lawson Plate. This was meant as like a cheaper version of an EMT 140 manufactured in Tennessee. The next one we have, I've never heard of before. This is the Stocktronics RX 4000 from the late 70s. It's a Swedish plate with a different kind of steel, kind of a zingy tone to it. And we have the E-Plate 3 based on the Echo Plate 3 from the early 80s, a smaller version of a plate reverb here, uses a stainless steel alloy, creates a specific tone that's different than the other. So 5 different reverbs included in here. If we jump back to the plugin itself, you can see them right up here, Classic 140 down to the Stocktronics last. Below that, we've got our sort of preamp modeling here. We've got tube preamp modeling, solid state preamp modeling, and totally clean where we bypass the preamp. We'll leave it on its default solid state. We can move our reverb time all the way down from a half a second all the way up to infinity, which is pretty cool. We can set our pre-delay all the way up to 250 milliseconds. We've got some modulation controls here, high and low pass filters, input and output controls, which are good for driving the preamps, and a typical dry-wet mix knob. If you click on the tweak button, we actually open up another panel where we have a reverb tail EQ with 4 points in it. We've got our modulation rate controller, which is tied into the amount of modulation we're doing up here. And we've also got this pretty unique auto decay setting. And if I jump back to the website here, you can see how the auto decay shortens the decay time to whatever your target setting is when the input signal is above whatever threshold you set. So what that really allows to happen is you can have your reverb breathe and not have it kind of stomp on the transients. It's almost like a ducking built in. We've got a stereo width control and a left-right balance, and that covers all the controls. So the first thing I'm gonna do is play a vocal part with no reverb on it, just so you hear what the source signal sounds like. Here we go.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh.
Then I'll engage the reverb channel here. It's going to be pretty hot reverb, so you can hear what it sounds like in a real mix. You might want to bring it down a bit. These are all kind of stock settings here. We've got the EMT 140, 2-second decay time, no pre-delay, no modulation, no filtering.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh.
So right from the get-go, a pretty standard, pretty good sounding plate reverb sound. Let's jump down to the gold foil 240 and hear what that basic tone sounds like.
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
The Auticon,
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
definitely brighter and snappier. The E-Plate 3
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
and the Stocktronics.
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
Jumping back to the 140, I'm going to increase this decay time.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh.
You can see how you could be able to automate that from infinity back down and create some really unique effects with the decay time. Let's mess around with these inputs. So I'm going to go back to the tube input here. I'm going to really drive the input up so we can hear that preamp saturation.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh.
Now the solid state saturation.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh, ooh.
And with no saturation at all.
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
Back to the tube.
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
Versus the input straight up and down with not much.
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
So just some different tone that you can impart upon your sound there. Now if I bump this decay time up a little higher, I'll mess with the filters now and see what we can roll off.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh.
You can see right here we can pick the slope of the high and low pass filters, which is really nice.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh.
And we can even tailor that decay time EQ to whatever we want. Turn it off for now. Now let's take a look at this auto decay setting.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh.
And you can see there's kind of a built-in yellow gain reduction here.
I don't wanna be the lonely one. Ooh.
And it allows the reverb to kind of bloom after the source signal is out, that ducking kind of built in, which is really, really nice. Let's move down to the Autocon again.
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
I'll turn the threshold off in the auto decay.
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
If you want to go really crazy with effects, we can put it up to infinity and mess with the modulation.
I don't wanna be the lonely one.
And then fade it out by bringing that decay knob down. So there we go. So many things you can do with this plugin. We've got 5 different modeled reverbs. We've got decay times anywhere from a half a second to infinity, which is more than a lot of plate reverb plugins can do. Pre-delay modulation, filtering, EQ built in, input saturation built in, some ducking built in, some stereo control. So not too many overwhelming parameters, but just enough to get you a really cool sound while allowing you just to go for like standard plate reverbs as well. So another winner from Soundtoys, highly recommended SuperPlate. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, so we can keep you in the loop as to what's coming up next, and I'll see you in the next one.